Welcome to Rom-Com Me Not, a podcast where we hate rom-coms and Whitney probably doesn't.
Where we thought we would hate them, but it turns out we love them.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. We'll do another intro. Welcome to Rom-Com Me Not, podcast where we hate rom-coms, but we actually love them. Or not. Do you want to do an intro? You do one.
Honestly, not really, because I loved that one. Or not.
Okay, great. Okay, then let's go with that one.
I really liked that one.
Okay, great. Okay. Yeah, so this week for our very first podcast ever, we're going to be talking about one of the OGs, a fall classic, You've Got Mail, starring
Do you guys
Meg.
remember when you could hear that on your own computer?
I do. It was very visceral.
Is Lauren
for me
old enough
when I
to
heard
remember?
the first.
Yes, I'm old enough. I was actually just having flashbacks to being on AOL and then getting kicked off because somebody called and then just being upset, that your mom had a friend that was calling or something,
You were born in the 90s, so
Yes.
it was worth asking, Whitney. Thank you.
Welcome.
Oh my God.
Yeah, when I first heard it in the movie, I definitely was like it was very visceral reaction for me to hear that You've Got Mail. I was like, whoa.
Yes.
Even just the dial-up screen with the three boxes, on
And
the computer.
the noise it was making really got me, because I found that the beginning credits, when it was just playing the music, but you could also hear the dial-up. It was really hard to listen to for the whole time. I ended up fast forwarding.
Yeah, I found the opening very weird on this. It was very Matrixy, like digital, like that, but it honestly just looks like a really cheap Sims game to me now. But I guess for the time, it was like this was all so new and
Yeah,
like,
somebody was stoked that they figured out how to create those graphics.
Yeah.
Right? Like that was somebody's whole computer life led to that moment.
Yeah. It started on Atari.
Well, I'm just going to jump right in. What I liked about the dial-up being the thing at the beginning, though, is it made me think about the anticipation of dial-up, right? Like waiting to see. And then I was kind of like feeling nostalgic for the waiting a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. We don't really wait for much anymore.
We aren't really required to be patient anymore.
I know.
No.
I was getting mad when the PlayStation 4 load screens took too long.
Now PS5, you fail a level, you get right back in.
Don't even have to wait anymore. Well, so I did want to just mention, I did look up right before we started recording, Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan, who are the stars of this movie, have been in 4 rom-coms together. 4? Yeah. Yeah. Can you remember off the top of your head? Would you know which other ones they were in, Lauren? You can't say because you're looking at my notes.
Not other than Sleepless in Seattle, no.
Nice. Okay, so that's one of them. And then there's one called Joe versus the Volcano, where I guess his name is Joe again. And then there's another one called Ithaca.
I haven't seen either of those.
And
sorry.
Yeah, I've never even heard of them. Joe versus the Volcano was their first movie together. That one came out in 1990. So
good year.
Yes. The year you were born. Yeah, so I found that kind of interesting because it's like kind of weird that they've been in 4 rom-coms together. Like, how many times do we have to watch these two fall
I
in
think
love,
that used to be a thing, though, because how many times is it Richard Gere and Julia Roberts are with each other multiple times as well? I think that just used to be what we did.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Well, and I guess I have a different genre. I'm thinking about the Mike Flanagan series on Netflix and how that's a lot of the time the same cast in different roles. And I love that. So I guess maybe I'm feeling harsh on this genre. A little. It's okay when it's horror.
Yeah. Something cool that I found was that it is still number 23 on the highest grossing rom-coms of all time. And how long has it been? 25 years.
Wow. Yeah, it came out in 1998. That's crazy. Yeah. Well, as far as rom-coms go, I think that this definitely was less cringy than I expected it to be.
Yeah, I think you can thank Tom Hanks for that, because I feel like it's impossible for him to be cringy.
Oh, well, I mean, he maybe not cringy, but definitely a little creepy, but we'll get to that later. I did find him a bit creepy. But I just also wanted to mention other characters of note in this. Dave Chappelle. Didn't see
Didn't
that
see that
coming.
coming or how he acted in it. But did you know Half Baked came out this year as well? The same year You've Got Mail came out. So we got both sides of the spectrum from Dave Chappelle.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't even like I don't think I've ever watched Half Baked. So was he like a lead in
Yes.
that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Well, that's his acting career then, didn't even realize it, you know. Is this before the Chappelle show?
I think so.
Hmm. Another actress, just looking it up right now, I believe, is it Heather Burns?
Miss Rhode Island.
Yeah, Miss
Yes.
Rhode Island and Miss Congeniality.
Yes,
Yeah,
I think
that's her
she
best
is
friend.
so adorable. She would be so easy to
Yeah,
fall in love with, just the way she speaks. It's just so
yeah,
soft and sweet.
yeah. I I could not agree with you more. I definitely like if I had to fall in love with someone in this movie, it
I
would definitely
know.
be her and not Meg Ryan. No offense to Meg
No,
Ryan,
we'll
but
also talk
Oh
about
yeah,
her
does
in
she
just a
ever?
sec.
Meg
Yeah.
Ryan, yeah.
Does Miss Rhode Island ever have her own lead role in a rom-com? Or is
No,
she
I don't
always
know
the
off the top of
support?
my head.
Yeah,
Uh,
I can't think of anything off the top of my head either that yeah, we would have to do a Google search on that, but um loved that character in Miss Congeniality though.
mhm.
And two of the three of us do live in Rhode Island, so that's
Womp
fun.
womp.
We won't say which two. Um what were you gonna say on Meg
We'll get
Ryan
there.
there? Okay. All right. Another fun fact, the name of the her well, I guess we could maybe just jump into kind of like I
The
guess was
movie?
the
Yeah.
movie. Yeah. So Meg Ryan owns a bookstore called The Shop Around the Corner, and it's very cute and it makes me want to be in New York City in the 90s getting a book like really badly.
But before that,
Uh-huh.
let's not skip over the
Oh,
fact
I
that the
did.
whole movie starts with some uh
Screaming infidelities.
yeah,
Isn't it so funny
we
how
waste no
gentle
time.
this was too? They just passed right
Yeah,
over it.
yeah. This is
Yes.
the first thing that they show is them cheating on their
The beginning
partners.
is
Well,
literally introducing the characters and their significant others and how excited they are when their significant other leaves so that they can go and talk
Yeah,
to their online lover.
I know. It's a sad state of affairs for these two. And I will say Meg Ryan's partner doesn't seem like a bad partner. I mean, obviously they're not, spoiler alert, they're not in love, but like, it seemed to me like he's a pretty good guy. I don't know. He's like a little narcissistic here and there, but like overall, like they didn't really paint the picture that she was in some kind of obnoxious situation the way that Tom Hanks was with his
Yes.
partner.
I did find Greg Kinnear to be pretty obnoxious, though. The way he would kind of yell at her compliments and wouldn't let her speak. And I did not enjoy that.
Yeah.
yes, snapping at her so that he could sit down on his typewriter and write her a poem.
That's true. I forgot about that scene. That was very annoying.
Oh, I was just thinking if somebody ever snapped that close to my face, I would have a hard time sticking around and smiling about it, you
Yes,
know?
and I think she found it endearing.
I know. I think she actually really liked him the most in
Uh-huh.
that scene. Like, yeah, yeah. I would hate that too.
Okay. So we open and
Um,
we meet both characters. We meet their significant others, and
yep.
then we are introduced to their online emailing back and forth and getting to know each other.
And their
And their
handles,
handles.
which found so on the
And they are.
nose, like Shop Girl NY152. I enjoyed coming up with my AOL handle when I was that age, and I feel like the thing that I came up with was so dumb. Do you guys remember your handles? Do you not want to mention them? They don't exist anymore, but
I'm pretty sure
Do they
mine
not?
was future fame.
no way.
And here we
100%.
are.
And here we are. Future fame, huh? Any
I don't
numbers?
think so. We did not need numbers back then.
Yeah, you didn't no numbers
No.
needed. Wow, what made you think of
Oh,
that? Sorry
I
for the
have no
tangent,
idea.
but
I was what, 10, 12?
yeah, that's so funny. Future fame. Hmm.
Puberty, that's what I was
Um,
thinking. I don't know. What was yours? Do you remember?
pretzel for you. All one word, all lowercase,
No
no numbers.
numbers?
No
Did you
numbers,
write out
yeah.
all of
And
you as
it's
well?
because, yeah, YOU,
Wow.
baby. Pretzel for you. FOR. And it's because pretzel rhymes with my last name, Hetzel. So there you go. People used to call me Hetzel Pretzel.
Wow.
And maybe that screen name speaks to my lack of boundaries at that age. I'm here for you. I'm not even for me. What about you?
Mine was RH Falcon 18
Wow, that's so
Why?
mature.
because I
That's
well,
really
it's
cool.
because I thank you. That's not what I was expecting you to say. I played soccer for a town near me, Rush Henrietta, so RH. We were the Falcons, and my number was 18. So
Huh.
all sports
Wow,
all the time, you know?
that's
Yeah.
awesome.
The only one with a number. Your age is really showing
Oh
up.
my goodness.
Yeah. She needed a number when she made hers. Well, to this day, I continue to use pretzel in my handles, my PlayStation or Nintendo. I don't even know which one of them is Hetz the Pretz.
Well, you know what though? I do have a question. Did either of you talk in chat rooms or
Yes.
correspond with strangers? Because
Yes.
Not
by the
really.
time I was, yeah, by the time I was doing anything on AOL, that was like stranger danger, chat rooms are bad. Don't go.
Yeah, I was all up in the chat rooms
Back
and
to those boundaries.
it's pretzel for you. I was for everybody. No, I did go in the track. Yeah, I did the Slingo chat. I used to love playing Slingo. I was like all about the chat there. Um, I went into some chat rooms, but I mostly chatted with my friends.
Same. I went into a
Yeah, and I
cheerleading
do.
chat room one time, I think.
Oh my God, I
Yeah,
forgot you
and
were a
we tried to
cheerleader.
make up cheers together on the chat.
Maybe that's the
Aw,
movie.
Yeah,
That's cute.
that is nice.
Yeah.
That's a
Me,
wholesome chat room.
yeah,
it
that
was.
is wholesome. Yeah, one time my older cousin, who was 5 years older than me, and my best friend from middle school, ended up randomly chatting with each other in a online chat room about
What are the
basketball.
odds?
I know. And I was at my cousin's house and she was chatting online and I like wanted to watch her chat because again, 5 years older, so she was the coolest person I've ever could think of at that time and still to this day actually. And I was like watching her and I was like, I saw my friend's screen name and I was like, oh my God, that is my friend. She was like, what? And I was like, tell her that say I'm with Jenna. And she did. And it was just, anyway, I'll never forget that. It was so random. So, anyway, back to the movie.
Okay, so we are waiting for our significant others to leave.
Yep.
Logging on, got that dial up sweet, sweet sound of anticipation, and you've got mail.
You've got mail. Yeah. I don't have a note on that.
Well, so I think we meet them in that space, but then we transition to seeing who they are at work, right? And that's when we see
Right.
Meg Ryan make her way to her shop around
Yes,
the
what I have
corner.
written down is
Yes.
basically everything. The city is opening up, and we get to listen to "Dreams" by the Cranberries.
Oh, yes. Yes. Thank you for
You're
writing that
welcome.
down. Oh my God. What an emotional moment
Yeah,
for me. Like I don't know, did you feel the same
that
way?
was nostalgia for sure. That yes, it was great.
Yeah. Nostalgia and just like watching a city wake
Mhm.
up is just like kind of a nice feeling, especially when or like it's the 90s, this is like going to be like some fall cozy little thing. I don't know.
Mhm.
I like that scene
Mhm. And I
actually.
think so. We meet Dave Chappelle, who is helping Joe Fox start up a business, and
Mm,
we don't know what it is
yes.
yet, correct? I
Right.
don't
I
think
don't
we
think
do. They're
so.
just
Yeah.
walking through talking about how things aren't actually going well. And then that's when he realizes
Right.
Tom Hanks, Joe Fox isn't listening because he's so happy because he had just been chatting with Meg Ryan. Kathleen Kelly.
Yes. Kathleen Kelly, Meg Ryan. I do have in my notes here Dave Chappelle question mark. And then I guess later when I realized it is Dave Chappelle, I wrote yes.
Well, so one thing about that scene that jumped out at me was the quote at the end of their interaction in the walking through the construction.
No, I don't
Um,
think it was in that scene.
yes, it
Wasn't it?
was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, at the end because they together say they're gonna hate us at the beginning, but we'll get
Mhm.
them at the end. And I stopped it and rewound and then made Jenna write it down for me on her notes because I was like, well, isn't that just all rom-coms? They'll hate us at the beginning, but we'll
That's
get them
right.
at the end. And I was like, that's
Oh,
this movie, but
Yeah.
that's it right
that's
there.
so funny. Good point.
Thanks.
That's why you wanted me to write that down.
It
Oh,
is.
full circle.
Um, yeah.
And then we get to
Um,
go. and enter, what is it? Shop Around the Corner.
Yep.
Yes, The Shop Around the Corner, which is the original movie that this is based on that came out in like 1940 or in the Oh, I
I
didn't
didn't
hear
know
that.
that.
Yeah. Yeah, this is based on a movie from long ago, The Shop Around the Corner, and a little bit of a different plot, but same general idea where like the characters I think are kind of rivals in a way, and I think they're writing love letters, because it's like the 40s. But yeah, it's
Well, is that what his grandfather is alluding to when he's talking about her, the
Kathleen's
old
Kelly's
owner of the
mom.
shop around the corner? Right. We used to
Oh,
write letters.
maybe,
She was
maybe.
enchanting.
Possibly. Again, I don't know what store it is. Like, well, I would like to watch it though. The other one, and James Stewart is in it, which
Mm,
is, he's like big.
classic.
Yeah, came out January 12th, 1940. So I'm probably gonna watch that. It had a budget of 500,000 and it only made 380, so they lost money on it. But
But it ranks highly on
oh
Rotten
wow,
Tomatoes.
it does 99%.
Oh, wow.
Anyway,
All right.
yeah. So
Here's,
the shop could not be
it
cuter,
couldn't. And here's something I
It's
want to point out
yeah.
is how many employees are there before they're even open in this little bookshop. This is
I
all I
know.
could think
They
about
love it.
is how many people were there and how much that's going to cost in labor. And they
I
weren't even
know,
open
right?
yet.
I know. I did think that too. I had that
Yeah.
same thought. I was like, wow, this is like a fully staffed. I mean, granted, it's 1998, so what are they making, like $5 an
Yeah. And they're
hour?
all like real adults too, living off of working in a
Yeah,
bookshop, apparently.
living in New York City, like just that is just not possible anymore.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, like at all. But it is the cutest freaking coffee shop, bookstore I've ever seen, and I guess I want a coffee in that bookstore. Which does bring me to a point that I kept on noticing throughout this movie, is that they constantly coffee and books go together, like that's a theme here. I think that's really funny. It keeps coming up throughout the movie, like, so anyway, I just wanted to point that out as a coffee person. But anyway, that's how they're seducing the customers at the big bookstores with the coffee. But yeah, anyway, I don't know. Continue on, Whitney. I didn't take I think you got more of the synopsis than I did. So help
Oh,
us move
you're in
forward
so
here.
much trouble because my notes literally say the girl from Miss Congeniality works there.
I wrote that too.
Well, after we meet all the characters, which it's his name Steve Zahn, who works there. Is that his last name? It's either Zahn or Zane.
I don't.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, I don't
I
know how
don't
you
either,
say
but
it.
he adorably
Yeah.
works there as well.
Is that the friend at the bookstore?
George, right?
The guy with blonde hair who's just kind of the
Yes.
goofy guy
Yes.
friend. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. His only role in this movie is to just kind of be goofy
Absolutely.
and live.
And then what do I have next? Oh, and then we go and Joe is meeting with his father and his grandfather in their office.
Mhm.
And you realize they are super obnoxiously wealthy. They're building all these bookstores. They're finding it, at least on the surface, they're finding it funny that they're having to close down bookstores all around the city because because Fox Books is opening.
Right.
Um,
Right. Yeah. Which is like so, first of all, it's interesting that it's like a family run, big corporation. Like that, that's not normal, I think. Maybe back then. I don't know. I can't remember. I was
Well,
a kid.
I think it is normal.
Yeah, really? To be run by a family like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, before we get to that though, I actually forgot, I did take a note when they were chatting. So go back here mentally to the little shop on the corner. When they were like chatting, first of all, they come right out with it that she's having this online relationship. She's talking to everyone in the shop
Yes.
about it, right? Another person of note that we forgot to mention is the older woman is the lady from All in the Family.
I've never seen All in the Family.
She's
Yeah.
Oh, really?
neither.
Oh, so
my
sorry.
gosh. Yeah. Yeah. Edith Bunker from All in the Family.
Really?
Yes. Yes. As
Huh.
soon as I saw her eyes, I was like, oh my goodness, it's Edith Bunker. But anyway, so this is a star-studded cast, let me just say. But anyway, she asks, they're like kind of talking about the online relationship, and one of them says, "Are you online?" I can't remember who says it, but I just remember thinking, like, what a funny question.
The girl from Miss Congeniality asks it because remember she keeps following
Okay.
her around the store until she finally fesses up.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, right, exactly. And she says, "Are you online?" And I just remember I just wrote that down because I'm like, man, that is not a question that anybody has asked in a very
Mm-mm.
long time. Like the question these days would be more like, "Are you not online?" And that would make you different, you know? Like it's just kind
Hmm.
of weird. Like wasn't that long ago. But anyway, and another thing I noticed here too, when they just kind of go from like showing her life to his life, is there's a huge contrast visually between her shop, cute, cozy, lots of colors, you know what I mean? And then they kind of go right over to his scene where you just mentioned where he's talking to his dad and his grandfather, and it's like blue, monotone, you know what I mean? Like high rise, like I think they really kind of show that's like a nice visual contrast there as far as like movies go. I kind of like that. You really get the feeling of like, oh, these guys are
Yeah, that's
cold,
a good
you
observation.
know?
Yeah, cold and like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Sterile. Like,
yeah, that was a
yeah.
good way of
Um,
explaining something without actually explaining it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Like
It just gives you a
nice,
feeling
nice
because if she
cinematography.
is in that cozy place, so you feel good, and then when you
Mhm.
probably feel a little stiff when watching them in the office
Yeah,
building.
yeah, you know. Yeah, she says hi to the little kids. She's full of awe and wonder. That's the thing about her in this entire movie. She's always like full of awe, you know, like she's kind of doe-eyed a little bit, you know, like
Yes, that that bothered me a little bit. She
yeah.
seems
Yeah, me
is
too.
the right word
Mhm.
naive? She seems naive, and I don't want to. I feel like
Yes.
I am an adult who doesn't take things very seriously, but she came across as naive instead of
Oh
just
yeah.
a fun adult. Yes,
Childlike, one might
yes,
say. Yeah. I did not enjoy that either. Like yeah, I was like, okay, she's cute. She doesn't have to act like a
right,
kid, you know?
right. And she knows
She's cute all
that
on her
Fox
own.
Books is going to be opening up, and they're talking about what's going to happen if they go out of business. She's just like, we're just not, and she's very positive. And maybe I am
Mhm.
pessimistic, but I would want to have a plan to either build up the
Mm.
shop even more or what happens when we're done. It seems
Yeah.
unprepared.
Yeah, it's like a yeah, it's a
Mhm.
little
Mhm.
delusional.
Oh, very good.
Lauren's like, I'll just come out with it.
Well, because here's the thing, right? Like, so I guess jumping a little bit ahead, but if I was going to give real quick bullets to get us where I want us to go, so we have the contrast of the two main characters, right? Then we have Joe Fox hang out with his grandfather's daughter and his father's son are both
Hmm.
children, right? So
Hmm.
that's sort of a funny little dynamic, but they have a nice day on the town and then he makes his way into her
Hmm.
bookshop and is sort of a little undercover. He introduces himself as Joe, not Joe Fox. He makes the kids be quiet even though the boy
Yeah.
keeps spelling
Hmm.
Fox, which is the giveaway of the last name, right? And they have like a nice little rapport,
Yeah,
but
he's creeping.
yeah, he's yep. But when they have the realization and things aren't going well, and she realizes who he was, and then she's talking to her online
Hmm.
friend about what to do, and it's this whole business isn't personal advice, right? Go to war, business isn't
Hmm.
personal. And she takes that so to heart. And I think to me, yeah, I'm calling it delusional because there's this unwillingness to do what needs to be
Hmm.
done, even though it's like you don't have to go all the way over cliff in aggression. But to your point, Whitney, you can have a plan. And I think that yeah, it was a little frustrating that it was just this optimism based on nothing, as
Right.
opposed to like yeah, a plan of action that gives some hope for the
Yes.
future.
Well, and I think like like she could lean into her story hours. And it's obviously a more personal business, and I don't know. I just think it's like I don't think it would come down to like cheap books, expensive books, right? Like I think it's like she does like these like community events. Like I feel like I would lean into that, right? If I was gonna get on the news, she's like preparing to get on the news and fight, and she's amping herself up for that, in that one scene where she's like, pretend boxing in the store, and it's like get on there, be charming as fuck, and be like, we have story hour, like bring your kids here. Like, I don't know, like that's what I would try to lean into a little bit, you know
Hmm.
what I mean? Like as the plan. But
Yeah, it
anyway.
felt like things were happening to her a little bit more, right?
Yeah,
Instead of
yeah,
taking charge. The one other thing, and then I'll get off my
yeah.
apparently angsty soapbox about the business practices of the shop around the corner. But when the children's author
Hmm.
knocks on the window and says, I'll do whatever you need, But then a couple scenes later,
She's
that
going to, yep,
person is, she's
Yeah.
booked for
Fox
the
Books.
Fox Books store. And, did our female protagonist reach out to her to make a date? Or was she just hoping that person would just come back?
Yeah. That was a weird interaction.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
All right, I'm off it.
All right. Yeah. All right. So Meg Ryan, Kathleen Kelly, not a great business owner. So um
Loved to twirl.
yeah, loved, yes, she did love twirling. Maybe her mom was the real business
Mhm.
lady, and she kind of inherited the store, and she's kind of like, maybe she's just not a business, woman. Maybe this was the straw that broke the camel's back for her, like, I don't know. Sounds like she made a lot of money off of it, though. She did mention at one point later in the movie or something, right? 350, or he brought it up, $350,000 in sales at a bookstore. I was like, in the 90s, like, I think they're doing really well.
Was she making that
Like,
though?
that's a
But
lot of
was she
money.
making that?
No, I would imagine no, right? Because you got to pay rent, you have to, but still, $350,000 in sales in the 90s.
Although he did buy a few books at a cost of $75, and
Mm-hmm.
he was upset at how expensive it was. So maybe you don't have to
Yeah.
move as many books to make that much
Typical
money.
ultra wealthy guy. Like, who cares? Support small business, bruh. Like, but another thing on money too is someone mentioned in their conversations. And I wish I wrote down when it was, but someone mentioned that it was $2.95 for a cup of coffee. But I think they meant like a latte, or like a Starbucks
They had
coffee.
to have because
And I
dang.
was, yeah, yeah. I was like, with $2.95, like, it sounds, now if you went to Starbucks and you got a venti cap, macchiato, it would not be
It's
2.95. You know what
601.
I mean? It would be, I was gonna say, why do you know
I don't
that,
know.
Whitney?
Only made
That's funny.
88 of
Yeah.
those today.
Oh man. It's all about the caramel macchiato. And in fact, she orders a caramel macchiato at Starbucks in the movie.
She
Did you
does,
catch that?
yeah.
I was like, damn, people have been
Oh my
all
God.
about this freaking caramel macchiato
When
latte, which is
Starbucks
what it
came up,
truly
I was
is.
like, no.
I know, but
Dang.
what's, can I mention? I have a thought
What?
on that. Okay. Meg Ryan and all these people are angry about the big guy taking out the little guy, but they go to Starbucks every day. Like, go to a local coffee shop, Meg, Kathleen. Like, that is so hypocritical. I love Starbucks as much as the next person. I'm just saying there are local coffee shops, and for someone who's like, on her soapbox there, found that a little hypocritical.
Okay, what happens after Joe Fox leaves the
Okay.
bookstore? Where do we go?
The party.
What party?
Remember, we go to a party, and that's where Kathleen Kelly is getting her drink, and she sees Joe Fox getting his drink, and he knows who she is, but she doesn't know who he is. And then
Right. Oh,
someone
and in
says, "Can't
between there,
believe you were
don't they
talking to
see
Joe
each other
Fox."
in this? In between there, don't they see each other back and forth throughout the city, and then they finally meet at this party and have to talk to each other?
I think so.
I thought that happened after the party because then they're dodging each other.
Maybe, maybe.
Well, people, this is where you come to get the facts straight.
But this party was important because this is where she finds out that he's Joe Fox.
Yes, and also where we see that their partners really don't pay attention to what's important to
honestly,
them.
their partners are meant for each other. It's weird.
Yes. Well, they made that clear.
Yes. Yeah. But yes, the two of them get into it over the dip. Specifically, maybe their first fight is over the garnish around the dip.
Oh, I hated that scene. I hated it because, like, for me, that would be I would be over this guy for scooping all the cat. Like he gets a little aggressive. You know what I mean?
He's
like,
obnoxious.
I don't know.
He
I
gets
did
a little
not find that
obnoxious.
charming.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I did not find that charming. Do you guys think that was meant to be so charming?
Yes, because he was just rebelling, but not in like the worst way that I've ever seen. He was like trying to irritate her, not make her mad, but irritate her. And that's kind of cute.
Does he know? Oh, see, this is where we hate rom-coms, but Whitney kind of loves them. There's the first sign.
Okay, so they're at this party, right? He does that. He takes all the caviar. She gets upset. here's something I equally don't like is her then taking it off of his plate for him. I find that equally obnoxious. So perhaps they
Yeah.
too are made for each other. But right, so they get into it a little bit. Then they go home and they email their online
Right.
people, right? Not knowing it's each other yet. And he says mean things, needlessly mean things, and then he feels remorse, right? And so the persona, Whitney, that you're saying is a little bit charming, right? He feels bad about it, right? I think that's where we see, okay, maybe he's not like a terrible guy. He just has this persona. And she's frustrated because she doesn't ever say what she means to say in the moment. And his advice is, well, you probably don't want to.
Which I have felt like, I feel like I felt like that a lot. I really related to that one thing that Meg Ryan said. Like, I never say the thing that I want to say in the moment. Like, I've had that
I
exact
think everybody
thought
has. She's
myself.
very relatable.
Yeah, yeah. But what I don't think is true is that you will always regret it. I do not think that's true.
I
I
think
think
very,
that
very
there are
little you will
times,
regret it.
yeah, like yeah, I don't know, man. Like yeah, I've had a few moments in life where I have been able to say the thing that I wanted to say in the moment, like maybe like literally 3 times, and it has felt very good each time. So I don't know if I agree with that, but
Well, I wonder if a distinction there would be, are you saying something that's mean or saying the thing in the moment to win? Or are you saying the thing in the moment to,
mhm.
right, to like make your point
Right.
understood? And I
Yeah.
feel like he at the party was trying to win.
Right. That would not feel good.
Right.
Right. That's true.
After when they started
Yes.
emailing after the party, is this when Joe Fox said, "Do you think we should meet?"
What?
It's right around
Is this the
here.
moment where he's
I think it is right around here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So the
okay?
first time
Yeah.
somebody has brought up, this was such the earliest form of online dating, but it doesn't, I guess
Yeah.
because we are where we are now with online dating, it doesn't seem weird. But I wonder when we saw this in 1998, if it seemed really weird to be meeting somebody like that online.
Oh my God. Even just putting my head back into like that time, like I think that would make my stomach tighten up. Somebody
Mm-hmm.
said that, you know?
Well, she closes her computer and we never
Yeah.
even hear if she
Mm-hmm.
replies to that.
I don't think she even does because they get into some uh aim chatting at some point before they revisit the meeting thing.
Yeah.
And that feels scandalous. Right? Going from the email to the,
Yeah, and you
you
can tell
know?
by their
It's really
reaction
bad.
of seeing the other person pop online that they got really
Yeah.
nervous really
The
fast.
door opened.
Yeah.
Did you catch that? The door opened. Do you remember the door
Yeah.
opening? Yeah. I loved that. Like when the little door opened and you would be sitting there like, ooh, who just like
Uh-huh.
logged in, you know, like
Well,
yeah.
again, my favorite part of this movie is that anticipation, though, right? So in the
Yeah.
opening scene, we have the dial up, and I was like, ooh, right? The
Yeah.
door opens. That I feel like this movie really captured that feeling
Mm-hmm.
really well, where
Yeah.
it's kind of fun, right? It's fun
Yeah.
to like be hopeful and wonder and
Mm-hmm.
right, all of what could be. I thought they captured that so well. And yeah, the door opening like takes me right back to third grade, you know?
Third grade. Oh my God. Well, okay. So, all right. I don't exactly remember where we left off, but
I think we are where, so they know who each other are. They've emailed after. She's going to be tougher with Joe Fox, and then
mm,
we suddenly are. Fox Books is open. It's doing great. Some people are protesting. They're picketing the big mega store, and then we
yeah.
find out we go to what is it? Books around the corner. Shop around the
Shop
corner.
around
Shop
the
around the
corner.
corner.
We go to shop around the corner, and they've lost a little bit of money, but not a ton, it
Oh
seems like.
yeah.
I don't
I
know if that's
love
a lot of
that.
money to them. It was like $1,300 less in 1 week. I didn't think that was the worst.
No, so I think it was I wrote it down because that scene made me laugh so much because Edith Bunker, um, I don't remember the lady's name in the movie, but the older woman in the movie, she, I loved that scene. First of all, I thought that scene was like kind of funny, and she said, "We've done 10,000 less this
Oh,
week than
10,000.
yeah than this
It was
week."
1,000.
Oh, I
Are you
wrote
sure
down
it's
10.
not 1,000?
I
Yeah,
thought it was
10,000's a lot of money in a week. So actually, maybe it's 1,000, whatever it is. Then we did this last year, and I just thought that was so funny because Lauren and I run a business, and that's exactly how you are. You're like always like comparing this week to this week last year, this month to this month last year. Like you're really big on that metric, which is smart. Anyway, just thought that was really funny. And then in that scene, another money thing that I noticed is the guy friend, the aloof, goofy guy, which I can't remember his name. I don't know anyone's name. We should really write
Hold
the names
on.
down.
I had it. Oh, I just X'd everything out. Wait,
Oh no.
I had all of the cast pulled up.
Okay. Yeah. He mentioned something interesting about rent prices in New York City
Oh
and
yeah,
Brooklyn.
$400, right?
$450 a month for 6 rooms in Brooklyn. And Brooklyn was also depicted as being like, oh, like I'll settle for Brooklyn, which is like
I wonder if it was 450 for him or 450 total.
he said
I think
450 a month.
450 per room. Wouldn't you think?
Well, I think that's what it would be now, 450 per room times 6 rooms. Like it sounds more hold on, I can't do that math off my head. 2,700 a month. That sounds more like a modern day rent price for Brooklyn, right?
I don't know about
Not
that.
for 6 bedrooms.
Mm, true.
You know
Well,
what? It
whatever.
doesn't matter.
Sounded cheap. Nope, it's not. Sounded cheap to me. That's all I know.
Well, right. But so anyway, so we find out that they're losing money.
Yeah. Yes, they're not doing as well as they did last year, which is sad.
She's got to get tough. She asks for help.
Yeah.
Does go to the mattresses. A lot of Godfather references in this movie.
So obnoxious.
Well,
yeah. In my
it's like
Can
opinion.
you guys hear
classic.
my dogs in the background?
No, but I can see the
Okay.
tail.
They are they're growling it out, that's all.
Yeah.
You wanna see?
Yes. No.
This is the dramatic recreation of the dynamic between Kathleen Kelly and Joe Fox.
Yes.
That's right, at that party.
Growling it out.
This will
That's
last
so
a while.
did they ever say what that party was, or were they just at some kind of high
It was
society
something
party?
for Joe Fox's girlfriend. She made him go with her.
It was like a book party. It was some kind of editor. Yeah.
Yes, because she seems to be an editor. Yeah. And then when does the food store scene happen? Like this is supposed to be another one of those charming scenes that I found cringy as hell. When they're at the food store and he's just being a jerk to Rose, the cashier.
Well, so he's not being a jerk. Rose finds him really charming. Rose,
yes.
That's
yes.
so.
She
so
gets
after,
in a cash only line.
Yeah. And
they're in a grocery store avoiding each other, and then she's trying not to be noticed, but she gets in a cash only line and everyone starts yelling at her. And then she notices her. Yeah.
Does it seem first of all, I didn't like that scene because I was just like, oh, okay, Joe's just gonna come over here. I don't know. I didn't really like it, but what I did in hindsight, I feel like it's that same angsty energy that he brought from the caviar, but this time it was for Kathleen Kelly, not against Kathleen Kelly.
Yeah.
But it was like that same, oppositional like kind of energy. I don't know.
He was kind of doing it to tick her off.
Yeah.
As well. Yeah.
But like but it was for her. I don't know. Like I don't know.
I'm sure it also made her feel weird. Like he was still an asshole. I feel like the way he acted, but he did a good thing.
Sure.
I'm sure
but
it's confusing.
She did apologize for him too, to the cashier after that.
But the cashier was smiling at him the whole time and then scowled back at her.
Yes. Oh, okay. So the cashier was totally on.
So he's charming her. He's right. I mean,
yeah. So for me, that would have been a deal breaker. That whole situation, I would have been like, okay, this guy's weird. I don't want this. Like, and I do have a note here that his I don't know why this note is here though, but it's like right after the food store notes where it says his father's wife is always sexually harassing him.
Oh yes.
Yes, it's because he's sitting that somebody's playing the piano and singing. Maybe it's his dad, but then he sits down and his stepmom puts her hand on his knee, remember?
Yeah. And this is the second time that she's sexually harassed him because in the beginning when he was picking up the kids, she kissed him on the mouth. Yep. And he reacted the exact way that I think a person would react after being, kind of sexually harassed a little bit. Like he was like, oh, like I thought his reaction was so good. Actually, I forgot to make a note of that.
Yeah, he let another woman sit down. He quickly stood up, let somebody sit in his seat.
Maureen the nanny.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Maureen the nanny. Is she the nanny or is that the stepmom's lover?
That's what I thought.
Well, that's the kind of vibe I got.
Well, that's who she runs away with in the end. When they're sitting on the father's boat and they're talking about his past failed marriage.
People. that they were talking about? I thought these were people from his childhood.
He's talking about all of the ex-wives. So
Okay.
there's
Yeah.
his actual mom.
Uh-huh.
Then the dad gets together with Tom Hanks's nanny.
Mm-hmm.
Then the dad gets together with the next nanny.
Mm-hmm.
Then he gets
Oh yeah.
together with this chick
This is the scene
who's
where
who's actually Tom Hanks's age, right?
right.
And then
Yeah.
he said, "And what happened here?" And he said she ran off with the nanny.
Okay.
So
So they
so
were
they were
lovers.
together. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
great. I
Very
got that vibe.
progressive.
Perfect. Good
Very,
Yes.
job.
yeah.
Yes.
Wow. 90s movies were keeping it real. Like,
Well, and so what's interesting though, too, again, the Joe Fox character, not my favorite guy, but they I actually thought they did a pretty good job of showing that he comes from dysfunction, but
mhm.
like he doesn't necessarily want to be of dysfunction,
Yeah.
right?
He
And I
seems
think
like when he has the kids, when he takes the kids out and stuff, he seems the most stable,
Mhm.
yes,
normal person in the
Yes.
yeah,
family.
Yeah, and I think he's at his best when he's with those kids for sure.
Yep.
Although he does only manhandle that little boy. Like that poor kid
Oh my
only ever gets
gosh.
picked up by his jacket. I'm like, can you like not? Like I know it's charming and everything, but I'm just like that's the only way he picks this kid up. But I guess it's not his dad. Like it's this guy. Like I don't know. Whatever. Yeah, he's his best with the kids.
okay, so they've chatted in real time on Instant Messenger.
Mhm.
They've gotten into it in public. They have she's organized the protests a little bit. We find out that it's still making no impact on the bottom line for her store.
Mhm.
And meanwhile, they decide that they're going to meet again. The two online personas are going to meet.
They decide they're finally
Yes.
going to meet, and because he did stand her up the first time. Did we mention?
Well, no, so
No,
this is
I
what I'm
think that's
talking
where we
about.
are.
Oh, that's where we're going.
Way
So
to give
Sorry.
it away, Jenna.
oh,
Well, you know what? This is a 2 hour movie, and I get a little lost. And they do definitely take their time building up to the end here.
anticipation.
Yeah, it is all about the anticipation.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's how they filmed it too. Which, yeah,
Good
that is
job.
like good. Yeah, that's good cinema. You know, like that's good movie making there. You
Yeah.
know, like
Good old Nora Ephron, you know?
yeah. A couple things I wanted to the couple things I have down on my notes here. First of all, Edith Bunker from All in the Family. They have like their Christmas music,
Oh yeah.
scene where they're like singing, which I was like, again, like that's so 90s. People do not stand around and sing. I don't,
Well, but it's showing two different things. At Tom Hanks's house, the grandfather's daughter is performing for
yes,
everyone, and
right.
at the Shop Around the
They're
Corner
all involved.
celebration,
Yeah.
it's a more community. It's an
Yeah.
actual family feel.
Right. They're
Mhm.
singing together.
Found family versus
Yeah. Yeah.
given.
Dysfunctional actual family.
Yeah.
But I love that they had that actress sitting down to the piano. Because that's what she does in the theme song of All in the Family.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Archie Bunker.
Yeah. And it was just, yeah. It's for the day.
Yes. Yeah.
So it was
I think I
really,
have seen it.
you have,
Yeah.
yeah. So it was really nice to see her at the piano like that. I that did give me the feels a little bit. I was like, oh, like there she is. But and then the other thing I noticed is that when scene I guess after that where Meg Ryan is sitting in bed chatting with him or emailing with him, I can't remember. You can see the wire coming out of her computer to plug into the phone jack in the wall, which I just thought that was funny because I was
I'm
like,
glad you noticed that because I had wondered when she was in bed and I never went back to look if she had wireless. And I was like,
yeah,
no.
yeah.
And I didn't think about it long enough to let it bother me. But
Right,
yeah,
no,
it was like, how did she do that? Wait a second.
yeah, no, I actually first I wrote it down in my notes because I actually thought that they had messed something up in the movie. I was like, oh, they
Yeah.
just want this scene of them sitting in their beds, chatting on their laptops or whatever. So I wrote down in my notes, laptop in bed with dial-up question mark. And then later I went back and wrote, never mind, saw the wire.
But do you
So
remember what happens here?
is this the scene where they no, I don't. What happens?
This is where Joe Fox visits her at her house. And she is
No.
No, not
No,
yet, not yet.
this is when she's in bed chatting with him, and then her boyfriend comes home and she quick slams it down and like
Yeah.
starts twirling her hair and
this
acts
must have been
casual.
after he said we should meet.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes,
Okay.
that was that was a little later what you're thinking of. But I sorry, one more note and then we can move on. Like this chatting scene of them like talking to each other, like laying in their beds. I really noticed their acting. Like because this in this time in the 90s, right? Again, this was all new. That's why we have this movie. And they're having to act out their online chatting so much. They're like talking as they type. They're like raising their hand up to press the send button. Like there's so much acting in the online chatting,
Mhm.
whereas like these days I feel like when they show online interactions, they actually usually just show the screen with,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like they don't show the people.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, I thought that was interesting, but go on. So what happens from here? So we've got the dial up in bed. Then
So,
what?
so they decide they're gonna meet. She
Yeah. Oh yeah.
right. So she's supposed
Because
to
they've
be
like had it with their partners at this point. Like,
well.
yeah. They have had enough.
Well, but they also like each other, right? And she's saying, I need help because she's still not making money.
Mm-hmm.
She says, I need help. Can we meet?
Mm-hmm.
Because he's supposed to be a big businessman,
Mm-hmm.
right? She goes to the
Finally, an independent coffee shop.
Chappelle and Joe Fox are walking down the street. They're talking about, you know, she could be as ugly as a mailbox, and
Yeah.
as long as she looks as good as a mailbox, he should marry her because he loves her persona
Mm.
so much, right? So we get
Mhm.
that little tidbit.
I mean, I thought that was nice though, because you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like he's freaking out, like, it was like a nice little scene between friends. Dave Chappelle's like obviously they're good friends, these guys.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I thought that was kind of like charming.
No, it's a cute
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah.
They arrive at the restaurant. Dave Chappelle goes up to do some reconnaissance, and he notices that it is in fact Kathleen Kelly in there with the book with the rose in it.
Mhm.
And we think that Joe Fox is now going to not go in, but instead
Because
he
he
will.
aggressively walks away from the store or
Yeah,
from the
Yeah,
yeah.
shop.
And ditches his friend, like
right,
Dave leaves. So I
right.
don't, yeah.
So he changes his mind, and we see him go in, but instead of telling the truth, he goes in as Joe Fox
Yeah.
and is pretty mean about
Yeah.
her getting stood up, and
Yeah.
she then finally gets to say some pointed things back. Um,
Hmm.
y-
Which he deserved.
yes, but she ends up feeling bad about it. And what at first, right? So they have a negative interaction. She leaves, he leaves, and she goes online and writes to her friend, and he doesn't write back, which I thought was mean.
Yeah, I felt like he definitely was playing some head games with her at this point in the movie, and I didn't love that because I felt like that's not. I don't know. Like it didn't really add to the romance. It really was like upsetting. Like I found it cringy. I don't know.
Well, I think here we have our first power dynamic, right? Now he has information that she doesn't have,
Yeah, and I don't like how he took advantage of that.
and then acted a little bit like the
No,
victim.
Yeah.
yeah, because it's the way he leaves is so manipulative, and I feel like he must know it because she finally was able to speak her mind, which he
Yes.
deserved, and then he was just quiet, and he said, I guess it's time for me to head out."
Yep.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, okay.
So
Supposed to feel bad for
and
you.
I think he did that so she would feel
Yeah,
bad.
like yeah, that was definitely a little manipulative there. Like that's a red flag, actually.
Well,
But
even if he did feel bad genuinely,
uh-huh.
right? It's still manipulative because he knew who she was and he didn't know. Uh, you know what I'm saying? I'm getting lost in who knows who, but you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yes.
Yeah. He knows she doesn't at that point.
Right.
There was also an outdated insult in this scene, which I did take note of the outdated. This is the first of of many outdated insults where and I wish I wrote down more of the quote, but she says something about an entire generation of cocktail waitresses. Oh, because
Oh,
everybody just has one name.
right. Young people these days don't
Yeah.
introduce themselves with first name, last name.
Yeah, they
It's an
just
entire generation of cocktail waitresses.
I was like, wow, what an outdated burn.
Oh, that's why at the party. That's why at the party when she was like, "Do you know who I am?" and he's like, "Kathleen," and then he walks away. She's like, "Kathleen Kelly."
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah. It
Sorry, that you helped me
yeah,
figure that
yeah,
out
yeah.
because I thought about that so
yeah, that
much.
was odd. I was like, why is she being chippy about that?
Yeah.
Now we
That's
know.
really funny.
Yeah. So old school burn. And there are two others that I will mention when we get to that part, but I did find that really funny because like these people, like what, 1998, this movie takes place in present day, and they're probably in their like early 30s, like, and so like, they're from like the 70s. You know what I mean? Like really. So anyway, I just thought that was funny. Off of that scene, right, where he is being manipulative and all that, what I did find so redeeming about this character of Joe Fox and this movie in general is that he did issue a very sincere apology for that, and he took like full responsibility for like provoking her in that scene,
Yeah.
actually.
It took him a day, but yeah.
Yeah, but like that's better than like never, you know? Like I did find that redeeming. Like I was so annoyed, and then when he was sincere about his apology, I was like, okay, like I guess I'm back on board.
And I guess it was kind of nice that he did try not to lie because he originally types that he wasn't there.
Yeah,
Sorry, I couldn't be there.
yep, he was gonna lie like
And then
six
he
times.
he deleted it and
Yeah,
changed the language. Still
yeah.
manipulative, but
It is.
It did though. I do think that was, I know that one manipulation where it's I know and you don't. That's pretty, I think it's hurtful,
Mhm,
but I think that's the turning point on when we start to like him too, when
mhm,
he genuinely feels bad
mhm.
about what he's done.
Yeah, yeah,
So
definitely. And then from here, what happens from here?
she closes the store.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's it. I found that so
mhm.
abrupt.
Well, right. We can't it would have been a 3-hour movie if we did gradual layoffs, you know?
I
You
personally,
only found it abrupt because she wasn't prepared to close the store.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Back to the beginning.
Back to the
yeah,
plan that was
which
not.
does make me think again, like I said before, and I'm really starting to believe this thought that I have that like I don't think that running this store was really her. I feel like this was really her mom's thing, you know, like because I
Mhm.
don't know, like they showed the pain of it. Closing the shop made me want to cry. I genuinely held back tears during that scene. It was very difficult for me to watch her close that shop. It really was like
Oh.
the empty shelves. Maybe that's because I run a shop. That just made me feel so sad. Like I was like, "Oh my God, this is depressing." But
What shop do you run?
oh, just nothing. Um coffee roasting store, not a coffee shop, not a customer facing thing, but it would be so sad to like see that space empty. I don't know what I don't have, memories of my mom twirling me around in it, but anyway, it was a sad scene, but there was also a historical comment here where Edith Bunker, before they closed the shop and they're all just kind of chatting, they were talking about money. And this is where Kathleen Kelly indicates that she'll be okay for a little while. And I'm just gonna keep saying Edith Bunker. That is not her name. It says, I bought Intel at 6. And I was like, basically saying like, I'm good on money because I bought Intel at 6.
Yeah.
So she bought Intel stock at like 6
Before it took off. Yeah.
before it took off. I thought that was like really cool because Intel is to this day, I'm looking on this laptop right now, we still have an Intel processor on it. So
Yeah, my processor.
yeah.
Yep.
So I just wanted to take note of that.
Another thing that happened here, though, just to throw it out there, is both parties respectively break up with their
Oh yeah.
significant other.
Mm-hmm.
What I did like about this was that Kathleen Kelly's breakup with her boyfriend
I
was so
loved it.
amicable.
I loved it.
I loved that it didn't have to be
Yes.
dramatic. It was
Yeah.
just, hey, I really care about you, and but I don't love you, and I don't, and he was like, I don't love you either, and it was nice. And
I
then they're
loved
like,
it.
well, like, is it, the lady from TV? Like, I just thought that was
Yeah.
so
Right.
refreshing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't even think we saw the other breakup, did we?
No, we
Which
just
I
we just
liked.
saw him decide in the elevator because she wouldn't let
Yeah,
him say what he would do if he wasn't
that's
stuck
right.
there and
And her thought was very superficial.
Yeah.
So.
yeah, and selfish, like just yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was a really nice way to keep the movie a little bit lighthearted,
Mm-hmm.
to keep the breakups either you didn't see the
Mm-hmm.
breakup or a really nice breakup. So,
I agree with everything you guys just said. But yeah, their breakup was great. Like they were like laughing.
Right.
They were relieved.
Yeah, it was cute.
Yeah. I also noticed that like did he live with her? Did they live together in this movie?
No, she said we're almost living together.
he had his own apartment
Oh, so
still.
that's why okay, because they show the scene of him leaving and I took a note of it because I'm like, I guess everything he owns fits into the front seat of a cab. But now I
Well,
understand.
he just had that collection of typewriters. And so he had like
Yeah.
2 at her house and then a bunch at home. And so, yeah, we
Okay.
see him taking a typewriter out.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I noted here. I felt pretty sad when she closed the store. Lauren didn't care.
So listen, it's not that I didn't care. It's that we were watching the scene
Oh.
and I felt kind of taken out of the scene when we have the ethereal mother-daughter twirling happening.
Yeah.
I feel like I
Mhm.
didn't need that. I mean, I can see why it's nice, but like Jenna's like fighting back tears, and I'm like, I feel taken out of this. And so then I see her like click her pen. I was like, what are you writing? Lauren has no heart.
I didn't write that.
It and it also, that's another instance where it makes me feel like this running the store wasn't about her, it was about her
Yes,
mom, like
yes.
Jenna
Actually,
said.
great point, Whitney. Yeah. And that is the feeling that I've been getting this whole time. Yeah, it's more about the mom.
And she does say, I feel like I lost my mom again.
Yeah, she does say that.
Hmm.
Oh, that hit me real hard. I still my mom is here, but it just hit me so hard. I was like, oh, that's so sad. And then I think we do get to the scene now on the boat. I know we brought it up before, but like where the dad is going to go live on his sailboat next to his son, which,
Right, because he broke up with his
yeah,
fiance.
he broke up too, the dad, and they're chatting on the boat. And they're saying how ironic all the breakups are. And I'm like thinking about the song Ironic by Alanis Morissette. And I'm like, people in the 90s didn't know what this word ironic meant. Like,
Uh-uh.
feel like the right use of the word ironic, you know? Like, I don't know. And
It was
right?
incorrect.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
same with Alanis, love her. But most of the things in that song are not ironic. They're just like coincidences. Like, yeah, so
Don't you think?
don't you think? Yeah, I really do think.
Awesome.
Oh, and then okay, and now we have the scene, Whitney, where Meg Ryan is sick and he comes to visit
Yes.
her, and being sick makes her drunk, apparently.
Okay, he runs up and he presses the button and she starts talking to him and then she sneezes. Let me get to the part that I really want to
Yeah.
get to. He makes his way upstairs because somebody opens the door. She lets him in. She is wiping her nose at the table, but doesn't touch her nose with the tissue. So she and dabs under her nose. And she sounds so sick, but she looks so good. And I hate that she doesn't actually wipe her nose.
Yeah. That bothered you.
It bothered me.
Oh
Yes.
my God.
And then I tried to watch the movie again, and I'm pretty sure after that part again, I was like, I can't do this anymore. Wipe your nose, Meg.
Yeah.
I
You
can't.
made it so far to get all the way back to that scene to then call it quits.
Yes.
Oh my God. But did you also notice, did you guys notice how like her being sick made her act drunk? Like she seemed so wild. She was
Maybe
wilding
she
out.
was on some NyQuil or
Yeah,
something.
maybe. Yeah, because I was just like, okay, like yes, I know being sick makes you drowsy and like all of that, but this woman is straight wilding out right now. She's like really,
Well, so this brings me back to sort of the childlike nature of her character
yeah,
because
yeah,
and again, maybe some bad boundaries here, right? Because like she does tell him not to come up, he comes up anyway. Then she like tries
yeah.
to get him to leave the apartment. He
He,
walks into the kitchen, right? So,
yeah,
but she doesn't really follow up on these things.
because I think she wants him there, and
No, I know, I know.
yeah,
Yeah.
like maybe there's subtext to
There's a
that.
little push pull, yeah.
Yeah, a little, yeah,
Yes, but Lauren, keep going because then he makes her tea and then she ends up going to sit on her bed and then he goes over
I
there
did
Yeah,
too.
not
so
like
that's the
that.
thing. It's like, but she kind of leads him there, right? It's if there's
She
right?
does. Oh, at that point, she's dropped all
Yes.
boundaries. She's
Yeah,
put she has no more guard.
Yeah,
right.
She's
but the
given
whole
up.
thing made me feel kind of like I did feel a little weird because I was thinking you don't really know this man. You know
Right,
him just from these business interactions, right?
right.
He certainly knows again, he has the knowledge that they are communicating online, but she doesn't know. But she still leads him over to his bed. She gets in, he tucks her in, he
Mm-hmm.
sits down, he then sits closer to her,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I
Mhm.
kept feeling like this is too intimate for this stage, right? But then he does drop the little Easter egg comment where she starts to notice maybe you see her kind of think, is this coincidence? Is it
Is this
ironic?
ironic?
Right? Or is this where's this coming
Yeah.
from? So
Yeah.
again, it's I kept feeling like I'm not supposed to like that this is happening
Mm-hmm.
because of being a millennial in 2023, but thinking about
Yeah.
1998, I'm like, okay, but it doesn't seem like these things are unwanted.
Right.
You know what I mean? I kept feeling like a tension
Yeah.
between those two parts of my brain.
Yeah. I didn't like him going and sitting on her bed, but like you said, Whitney, she did kind of lead him there, like, you know.
Yes, and by the end of that conversation, she wanted to have sex with
Yeah,
Joe Fox.
she did.
So
You know what I was thinking too? Like,
you could tell you could really
oh yeah,
tell.
no, she laid it on pretty
He's
fucking
like, let
thick.
me dab my nose again.
Yeah, but I was so grossed
Yeah.
out by her having a cold. I was like, my God, her breath probably smells so bad. And he's like all up in her face, like, ugh, ugh. But anyway, I guess it's cute.
Well, I
But
guess
like,
if he loves her like that, it's,
yeah, well, maybe that's part of it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Look, I love you,
Nice.
Lauren, but if you have a cold, I'm probably not gonna breathe in your breath, you know. But
Okay.
oops.
I don't know what happens next,
I
I'll be
think they just
honest.
kind of become friends after this, and they kind of like show their whole like friend montage. They're just like having a
They keep
blast.
bumping into each
Yeah.
other. But again, throughout all of these meetings, I'll take their seeing each other and meeting as kind of serendipitous,
Mhm.
but not his behavior in that it's I don't want to say that he's playing a game, but he has a goal in
Mm.
mind, and he has to have a plan and a scheme to kind of get
Mhm.
there behind all of this, because all of this is building up to make her love me or make her see that I am like that person she's in love with online.
Right.
Well, and also he's trying to make his online persona kind of sketchy, right? He's like, well, ask him if he's married. And then
Oh, yeah,
Right.
the
forgot about
online
all that.
yeah, and
Yeah,
then
I like that.
well, right, because then he
Yeah.
replies back kind of coy. And then in
Yeah.
person, he's like, well, that
Mhm.
guy didn't even tell you. Yeah, he's like, he's
Mhm.
deep in the head games. And when she says, I want to meet again, the guy on the online version, right, says, well, I have something I'm working on.
Mhm.
Yeah, I didn't love all that. I was like, okay, like this could easily turn into a horror movie at this point. Like, you know? But I mean, I guess time period, I don't know, but it was weird.
Yes, and
Yeah.
rom-com.
This is also, yeah, and
Yeah.
rom-com,
Well,
right?
and I
Yeah.
think at a certain point, right, like, and maybe I've never done this to somebody online,
He's
but like,
catfishing her.
well, but what I was going to say aside from that is, have you ever had something that you like a truth you probably should have told, but then you didn't, and then now time is passing, and now you're like, or think about it this way: I meet
Yeah.
somebody and I don't remember their name, and now you meet them so many more times. What now? 10 times in, now you're going to tell them you don't know their name,
Right.
right? It's
You
like
think
he
it's like
keeps.
that.
I think he's digging himself into a little deep, but then he's got to
Mm-hmm.
rip the band-aid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I see that.
This
Yeah.
is the part of the movie too where they're having fun, they're walking around the city, they're laughing, they're joking. Meg Ryan, like, this or they're laughing about his screen name NY152. This is where my other
Mm-hmm.
outdated burns come in. 100, and they say, what does 152 mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? Right? And he says 152 people that thinks he looks like Clark Gable.
Well, I think Clark Gable. She says that because I think
Yeah, oh, she says
that's
that.
not a burn. That's
Not a
like, oh,
burn, sorry, outdated reference.
yeah,
Okay, right. Because nobody now, like, young people would not know who the frick Clark Gable is now, right? The other
Mm-hmm.
outdated reference, the number of people that think he's a Clark bar. I mean,
That's what he says, and then she
yeah,
says the number of people that looks like Clark
yeah,
Gable.
those two Clarks play off of each other, but I literally took note of it because I'm just like, okay, half of the world's population at this point has no freaking clue what either one of those things are. I don't even know what a Clark bar is. I
is
mean,
he wrong?
I've heard of a Clark bar, but I don't know what it
It's
is.
a candy bar, isn't it?
Yeah, but
I
like,
mean,
what is
yeah.
a Clark bar? Look it up real quick,
I
Lauren.
gotcha.
But we are getting towards the end here. I did think that it kind of sped up a little at the end. It's a long movie, but when we got to the very end here at the meeting, I was like, oh shit, we're here now. Like, I snuck up on me.
Yeah, because what we get, they keep meeting up, and then finally on the last meeting that we see, they make plans to meet up instead of just happening to meet
Mm,
each other. They make plans to
4
do it.
p.m.
yes,
in the
12 and
park.
4, 12 and 4. Like they meet up at 12.
Oh no, I mean Joe Fox and
Yeah,
Kathleen Kelly.
yes.
They like not the online
Oh,
personas, but them themselves make plans together.
Mm,
So that's when you know that's when you see the
yes.
genuine
mm,
feelings that they're starting to have for each other, and you know that trouble's a brewing
yeah.
because she's in love with someone
Yeah,
else.
and he says, "Why not me?" This is
Right. They have
right.
that whole conversation. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right before she goes to meet the guy
yeah.
online,
NY152. Yeah,
he confesses his love for her.
yeah.
I mean,
Pretty much.
essentially.
I mean, I would take it that way. I mean, there's no. I when we were watching that scene, I was like, well, there's no turning back now. Like, he.
There's not, but I thought Tom Hanks did so good because it's almost like he made himself shrink a
He
little
Yeah.
bit,
did. That's yeah.
because he was pitiful in a way that you don't feel bad for I don't know. You could really tell how genuine he was, how sorry. It was like an apology about everything that's ever
Right.
happened,
I
how he was coming
yeah,
across.
yeah, no, I agree. I also felt like he so badly wanted her to fall in love with him in
Right.
real life, not just NY152. Like that came
Yeah.
across pretty strong.
And I think that's the thing that ultimately makes me feel like he's not a mega creep,
Yeah.
because it's like he
He wanted
wants,
that opportunity.
yeah.
Yeah. He just kind of played both ends of it a little bit too much, but I see the big picture.
And then
Yeah.
Meg Ryan says she's got to go.
Uh-huh.
She goes inside.
Yep.
Yep.
She changes her outfit
She's
to the
looking
same color scheme, but just a different
yes,
sweater. And
yes. Yes, it's the exact same
she walks
colors.
in a sweater and pants. She walks out in a sweater and a dress, but it was the same sweater color and the same. Yeah, I was like, oh
Yes.
my God.
Just cuter, I guess. Yeah. Oh my God. I don't wear
Oh man.
yeah. So real quick though, she has that little top thing on. She has like her dress, but she has
The
like one of those
cardigan.
like mini tops. Is that called a cardigan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that was a
Those are like
cardigan.
famous again, I think, because of Taylor Swift. But
Okay.
anyway.
Anywho,
Yes.
so then, and we know she's supposed to meet the online person with his dog in the park. She goes, she's waiting. Again, the anticipation.
Mm.
We see the dog and hear the name, and then we see Joe Fox walk around the corner. And if all the red flags before this weren't red flaggy enough, here's the biggest one. There's no concern about where the dog goes. He
I
just
know.
goes right over to her.
I know.
Where'd the dog go?
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Like, where's your dog, bro?
Yep.
Yeah. But anyway,
Yep.
dog aside, it's a cute scene.
Yeah, it's a very cute scene.
Yeah.
She says, I hoped it was you, which is nice too, because it's like, okay, so she was actually more in on it than you thought the whole time.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
then they have the little makeout sesh, and then the dog comes back and
Yeah.
wants to be part of it.
And then it's a nice
Yes.
ending scene.
That's
That's
it.
it. That's the movie. You've got mail.
Well done, Meg Ryan.
It
Well
is.
done, Tom Hanks.
It is
Great.
well done. I think, this is Tom Hanks kind of like right smack in the middle of his career. He's not like a young buck, but he's not like an old dude
Mhm.
yet. He's very much so in the middle. I don't find him very attractive. Do you?
Only because I've been in such awful relationships and he just seems nice. And I haven't dated that yet.
Oh.
Just a nice person.
Oh, Whitney. That
So yes, so he became more attractive to me because I found him to be funny.
okay. Yeah. Okay. Do
Yeah.
you find Meg Ryan
And I think that's the Tom Hanks charm.
Right.
yeah. Do you
Little
find
goofy.
Meg Ryan attractive?
I think she's adorable, but the way she walks, I haven't figured out what's wrong with it. It's
Yeah.
just she's always
Wide.
a little bit her limbs are a little
Yeah,
away
yeah.
from her
No,
body.
she does walk very weird in the movie. I completely agree.
Yes.
Yeah, she like waves her
Yeah.
hands like side to side. It's like really weird.
Yeah.
I think
But that's fine.
I think Meg Ryan is cute. I don't like how like, she's always trying to like have that face of like a woman who's about to be kissed. Can't stand that. Like, I think I think Tom Hanks is super creepy. I'm not gonna lie, but like the character like could be charming, but I'm like, first of all, bro needs a tube of chapstick this entire movie. But anyway, like whatever, he's cute. What do you think, Lauren?
I feel, Tom Hanks creeps me out a little bit
Yeah.
in general. So I'm curious to watch another one with him in it to see how I feel. I think that he became more endearing as the movie went on. Meg Ryan, I think, is also like charming, but I can't get over like the sort of infantilized character.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
I don't know that I walked away wanting to date either of them, but I am certainly glad that they found each other,
Yeah, and I feel like when I was watching it, I feel like they were caricatures of
Yes.
people.
Yeah.
They were just almost like they were animated. They were just a little over the top, but you're right. We got to see them more, and their reactions is how we got how they were feeling. So I guess that would make sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you guys know that if you go to the website for You've Gotten Mail, they have posted all of the emails that are exchanged between Joe Fox and Kathleen Kelly, and it's still up?
That's awesome.
Oh my God.
It is
Is it,
awesome. So if
is it
anybody
an
wants to
old,
go,
what's the website address?
it is you'vegotmail.com.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I wonder if they had to give AOL any money for this, or if AOL was like, yes, please make this whole movie about
I
AOL.
imagine it was product placement, don't you? Also, what
Yeah.
were the other options at the time?
Netscape,
Well,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I think like net can you
did
But and
Hotmail
what
have?
I don't know, but why would you even get that? Because don't you remember the AOL CDs that you would just
yes,
they would be free trials everywhere and you would just
yes,
use it
free
over and over and over and over?
Oh
free
yeah.
minutes left and right. Yeah. And
Yeah.
also they made great frisbees.
And then the big scandal where then they started dumping all the CDs on the front lawn of AOL, right? Because there were
Oh,
too
I don't
many of
remember
them. And
that. I don't know.
oh yeah,
Do
because
you
they were in all the cereal boxes.
do you want to know that my grandfather still has an AOL email address?
I've seen like one when I was working at the gym and had to enter in information. I saw one.
Yeah.
Very
Oh yeah.
secure, very secure.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I honestly, even when I worked at the gym that I worked at, I don't recall ever seeing one. So you saw one. I know one person. They're few far in between, these AOL people, but
Hmm. Honestly,
they're
I
still
use
out there.
Yahoo for one of my emails. I use Yahoo. It's very
Oh,
old,
that's
but
also
I'm
old.
embarrassed.
Yeah, yeah, you
Yeah.
are.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
I'm embarrassed. That's funny. I feel like Hotmail was like an old one too,
Uh-huh.
right? Like,
Yes.
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's so funny. Yeah. So I do have a favorite quote from the movie. I just want to say I did write down a quote that I loved, and it was tall decaf cappuccino. They said it over and over. And the reason I love that quote from this movie is because when I was a barista at Starbucks, one of my favorite jobs ever, I was working on the drive-through window, which was my least favorite thing to do at Starbucks. I hated the drive-through window.
Uh-huh.
And this woman ordered a tall decaf cappuccino, and somebody, one of the other baristas, did not calibrate the decaf grinder on the espresso machine because they never do, because nobody ever orders decaf espresso. And so the shot came out terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And I even noticed from the drive-through, like, oh wow, that shot is pulling for way too long. That is not going to be a good cappuccino. And the lady was so angry that it came out bad that she threw it at me through the drive-through window, that tall decaf cappuccino. I do
I hope
believe
it
hers
was
was,
dry. I hope it was a dry cappuccino.
I can't even remember that part because it was so jarring to me to have a cappuccino thrown at me through a drive-through window. Um, yeah, it ended up becoming a whole thing. She sent her driver in,
Shut
to
up.
argue. Yeah, she had a
What?
driver, sent her driver into the cafe to come confront me. The driver was like very scared of the whole situation and demanded to talk to my manager, and I said no problem. Called my manager over, and he was so scared too. And he just gave them a bunch of gift cards, and
Why didn't he say, actually, sir, that was assault, so you're both gonna have to
yeah,
leave?
thank you. Thank you. That's my so yeah, so I ended up being really upset that my manager did not call out the assault that happened,
Yeah.
because that is so wrong that she did that. I was so angry at him for giving them gift cards.
Hmm.
Yeah. Not my best day at the old Bucks. But anyway, tall decaf cappuccino.
Favorite
So
quote because it was a trigger.
that's my favorite quote from the movie because it triggered me. Yeah.
I did write down a quote, and it's
Okay.
from it's at the beginning, even before we get online for the two guys to talk to each other. Greg Kinnear says to her, "You think this thing is your friend, but it's not."
Ooh,
Talking about the computer and
Mm,
technology. He's very
yes.
skeptical of advancing technology, and it was weird because he was right.
He's so right. But you know what? I'm glad you brought that up because I took a note during that scene. I love that quote too. That stood out to me a lot. But also in that same breath though, he wakes her up with like these disturbing headlines from the newspaper. And I was like, oh my God, you don't need a cell phone to wake up to disturbing news, apparently. Because this guy saying that, what he said to her, and waking her up with that newspaper headline, I'm like, you're the modern day boomer who won't stop reading news headlines on your freaking phone. That's who he turned into for sure. But he did also call it out. Did you have a quote from the? You had your favorite quote.
Yeah,
We said yours early.
Mine was early on. It was the they'll hate us at the beginning, but we'll get them by the end.
We'll get them in the end.
Yep.
And they did.
And they did.
They did.
Yeah.
Great movie, guys.
Yeah. Good start.
Yeah. What do you want to do next week?
Whitney already said one.
What?
What did I say? Oh, did I say like is it what Genesis, The Wedding Singer?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's do The Wedding Singer.
Yeah.
I do want to do
another dynamic duo, Adam Sandler and Drew
Yes.
Barrymore.
Pair it up. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I really want to see how this movie holds up.
Yeah. I think it'll be funny. Like I can already start laughing thinking about some of the scenes, but I haven't seen it in a while.
Me either at all. Probably since it came out, really.
Wow.
Whoa.
Wow, really?
Oh, yeah.
Are you sure we didn't ever like watch that remember that cabin that you lived in? We used to like watch movies all the time. We didn't watch The Wedding Singer?
I don't think so.
Oh man. Yeah. When's the last time you've seen it, Lauren? Or have you?
I have.
Okay, just checking.
I'm not that much younger than you.
I just gotta check in.
Born yet?
Yeah, were you even born when
Oh
this
my
movie
God.
came out? Yeah, good
I'm not
point.
that much younger than you either, Whitney. So
Well,
I'm more obviously whatever. Yes, I've seen it. I think more recently I saw it on like one of the TV edits. So I am curious too how it holds up.
Yeah.
But that's an interesting point though, that's two people that end up in
multiple
opposing, multiple movies together
Yeah.
in those roles. So
yeah,
interesting.
So then I guess next we'll have to do Richard Gere and
Julia
Roberts. Yeah. We'll have to visit. Maybe we should just start with all the pairs,
Yeah,
their best.
for sure.
Okay, great.